You know how every neighborhood has that one person who treats the HOA rulebook like it's the Ten Commandments carved into beige stone? Yeah, mine's named Brenda. And she's the type of woman who irons her polo shirts, alphabetizes her frown lines, and considers color variants a personal attack. So there I was, a Saturday morning, sun out, coffee hot, vibe peaceful. Birds chirping, suburban serenity achieved. Then I saw it. Brenda's golf cart crawling down Snapdragon Lane like a slow-moving omen, clipboard glinting. You could practically hear the Jaws music. She stops, stares, steps out with the precision of a robot programmed for passive aggression. My lawn? Perfect. My paint? HOA-approved eggshell beige. But her eyes lock onto my driveway like she's found contraband. She kneels. Yes, kneels like an archaeologist uncovering ancient wrongdoing. One finger traces something on the pavement. Then she scribbles on her clipboard, hops back on her cart, and glides away. No words, just judgment. 4 hours later, I find a white envelope on my door, tucked right at eye level, like it's mocking me. A violation, surface integrity, multiple cracks detected. Apparently, my driveway is not just cracked, it's a trip hazard and a visual disruption to community harmony, which is HOA code for your concrete dared to age, you monster. I reread it twice, mostly to confirm that yes, I was being threatened with a fine for existing in a climate that has weather. My offense was not painting my driveway the emotional shade of corporate compliance. The letter demanded neutral gray polymer sealant, municipal gray number 4. Neutral gray, municipal gray, because heaven forbid a single square foot of individuality appear in Pleasant Valley Estates. I looked down at the crack, a hairline fracture, barely visible. It looked like the outline of a skinny giraffe or a lightning bolt on a lazy day. Honestly, I was impressed nature had the audacity. But Brenda didn't see character, she saw chaos. That's when something in my brain clicked. Not the part that pays bills or keeps me employed, the chaotic, neutral part that loves irony. I said out loud to my driveway, fine, if they want it fixed, it's gonna be fixed. And just like that, the war began. But before you start cheering for the rebellion, let me tell you, every revolution needs a spark. Mine came in the form of a guy named Chad and the ugliest shade of gray you've ever seen.
So, the next morning, I march into my local hardware store like a man on a mission. Picture this: fluorescent lighting, aisles full of slightly confused ads, and that faint smell of sawdust and despair. My HOA violation letter is crumpled in my back pocket, my new badge of rebellion. I find the paint and sealants section, and it's just gray. Every shade of gray. There's subtle stone, municipal gray number 4, regret mist, and my personal favorite, soul of accountant. I swear, standing there felt like browsing the color palette of corporate depression. Enter Chad, a 20-year-old employee with the enthusiasm of a drained AA battery. He's got a name tag, a half-tuck shirt, and the 1,000-yard stare of someone who's been asked one too many times where the good hammers are. I wave him down. Hey man, I need to fix some driveway cracks. HOA's on my back about it. His eyes light up. Not with joy, but with the bleak recognition of shared suffering. Oh, HOA? He exhales like he's about to read me my last rites. You'll want municipal gray number 4, aisle 12, left side, next to the asphalt embalmer. The asphalt embalmer. That's a real product name, apparently, because nothing says home improvement like mortician-grade cement. I pick up the tube Chad recommends. It's heavy, bland, and so gray it makes cinder blocks look adventurous. The label reads, dries uniformly, conceals imperfections. I stare at it like it personally insulted my imagination. Don't you have anything else? I ask. Maybe a tan? Or, I don't know, a shade that looks like it's ever seen sunlight? Chad shrugs, the universal symbol for, I get paid too little to care. That's the one they all make you use. HOA standard. And that's when it hit me. This wasn't about cracks. This was about control. Brenda didn't just want me to fix my driveway. She wanted me to submit, to erase the tiniest imperfection by coding it in lifeless conformity. I put the tube back. Thanks, Chad. I say the way Batman probably thanks Alfred before deciding to go rogue. I leave the store without buying anything, but with a plan forming. That night, I sat down on my computer and searched creative driveway repair alternatives. I went down a rabbit hole of epoxy, pigments, and artistic lunacy. Somewhere between DIY concrete crafts and street art vandalism that's technically legal, I found it. Kintsugi, the Japanese art of repairing cracks with gold. It said, "Don't hide the break, celebrate it." And that was it. My brain lit up like a Christmas tree wrapped in defiance. If Brenda wanted uniformity, she was about to get unity through chaos. But even a genius idea needs the right partner in crime. And mine came driving a psychedelic van, blasting punk rock, and answering the phone with, "Speak."
So there I am, late at night, caffeinated beyond reason, scrolling through art portfolios that look like Pinterest boards on steroids. I'm searching for someone who can help me commit what's essentially aesthetic treason against the HOA. Most of the artists I find are too tame, soft floral mosaics, tasteful garden stones, live, laugh, love vibes. I need someone who makes colors riot. Then I find Luna. Her website loads, and my screen practically explodes. Neon pinks, electric yellows, fonts that look like they were hand-painted by chaos itself. Her tagline, "I make boring things beautiful and loud." Perfect. I call the number on her site. She answers with a chirpy, "Speak." No hello, no greeting, just raw creative confidence. Hey, I stammer. "My name's Frank. I have a cracked driveway and an HOA that thinks creativity is a crime." Pause. Then she gasps, the good kind. She says, "You have an HOA?" She half horrified, half thrilled. "That's the ultimate villain. I love this already." I explain my plan. Turn the cracks into mosaic art. She goes silent for a second, then bursts out laughing. "You want me to mosaic your driveway?" "Exactly." There's another pause. Then she says, "Oh my God, I love you. I'll be there in an hour. Don't let your driveway move." Click. And that's how I met my co-conspirator. When Luna arrives, her van looks like a rolling art installation. Matte black paint covered in swirling mandalas and iridescent flowers. On the side, in silver cursive, "Creativity is rebellion." The hubcaps spin like disco balls. She hops out, petite, covered in paint splatters, turquoise glasses sliding down her nose, hair a chaotic masterpiece of curls. She looks around the street, every identical beige house lined up like soldiers, and grins. "Wow," she says. "It's like Stepford, but sadder." I say, "Welcome to Pleasant Valley Estates." She crouches down, inspecting the cracks. Where Brenda saw disorder, Luna sees opportunity. "These are gorgeous," she whispers, tracing one line like it's sacred. "They've got rhythm, movement, story." And right there, on my driveway, in the middle of HOA country, she starts sketching. Colored pencils fly, her hands blur. She's muttering to herself about flow, symmetry, rebellion. I feel like I've summoned the spirit of Van Gogh if he'd had an energy drink and a vendetta. She flips the notebook around, and I swear, even the cracks look proud. She says, "I'm thinking bright electric blue here, orange flame patterns there, and maybe, wait for it, mirrors." Mirrors? "So when the sun hits it, the whole thing sparkles. It'll blind your neighbors with joy." I grin, and Brenda with rage. Luna smirks. "Then let's make it shine." By sunrise, the plan was set. The only thing left to do was buy enough tile, grout, and creative vengeance to turn suburbia upside down. And that's when things started to get loud.
Morning hits and Luna pulls up again in her psychedelic van like the angel of artistic chaos. She hops out, stretches, and yells, "Time to make trouble!" loud enough to wake the entire cul-de-sac. If there were a patron saint of noise complaints, she'd be it. She opens her van doors, and it's like an explosion of color in there. Buckets of tiles sorted by hue, a stack of shattered mirrors, bags of grout, and a concrete saw that looks way too powerful to be legal in suburbia. She sets up cones, yellow caution tape, and a huge hand-painted sign that reads, "Caution, art in progress, genius at work." And that's when the noise starts. Luna fires up the diamond blade saw, and the sound is apocalyptic. Imagine a banshee screaming through a megaphone while riding a lawnmower. It echoes down every street, rattling the windows of the Pleasant Valley elite. Curtains twitch, dogs start barking. Somewhere, Brenda's coffee cup probably shatters mid-sip. Luna yells over the noise, "We gotta open the cracks up before filling them. It's called structural preparation." Translation, we're making them bigger. Sure enough, the first HOA scout appears within 10 minutes. His name's Todd, self-appointed vice president of neighborhood morality and Brenda's most loyal minion. He shuffles over in slippers and a silk robe, holding a mug that says "World's Best Dad" like it's his badge of authority. He squints at Luna, who's carving into the concrete like a glittery lumberjack. Frank," he says, voice dripping with suspicion. "What exactly is this?" I say, sipping my coffee. "It's a repair." "It's 8 a.m., he frowns. "And the town ordinance says construction can start at 7, I smile. "We're actually late." He looks at the driveway, the widened cracks, the buckets of blue mortar, the mountain of tiles. "That doesn't look like neutral gray sealant," he says cautiously. "No," I reply. "This is better. High-grade epoxy mosaic mortar. Structurally superior, very European." He blinks. "Brenda's not going to like this." "That," I say, "is the point." By noon, the noise dies down. The cracks are now clean, deep channels, ready for color. Luna starts mixing the mortar. It's thick, heavy, and gray for about 10 seconds. Then she adds pigment, bright electric blue pigment that turns it into liquid lightning. As she presses the first broken tile into the fresh mortar, I swear, it's like watching rebellion take physical form. The blue lines snake across the concrete like glowing veins of art, alive and defiant. And the best part? The HOA can't say a thing because technically it's a repair. By day 2, the quiet ones started showing up. And not all of them came to complain. Some came to join. Day 2 dawned calm and sunny. The kind of peaceful morning Pleasant Valley prides itself on. But peace doesn't last long when your driveway looks like a Jackson Pollock crime scene. Luna was already kneeling on the concrete, headphones in, humming along to some chaotic indie playlist while pressing fiery orange tiles into place. The bright blues from yesterday shimmered in the sunlight, and the new section looked like the driveway had burst into spontaneous flame. That's when I spotted Gary. Gary lived next door, a quiet widower who mowed his lawn twice a week and collected fines from Brenda like trading cards. His great act of rebellion, painting his mailbox royal blue instead of approved pebble beige. He paid a $50 fine for that color choice and wore it like a badge of honor. He shuffled over, coffee in hand, squinting through the morning light. He stopped dead in front of my driveway, jaw slack. "Frank," he said softly, What is this?" I turned, grinning. "It's a repair, Gary." He leaned closer, eyes wide. "It's beautiful." I laughed. "Don't let Brenda hear you say that. She'll file a complaint for excessive admiration." Gary chuckled, actually chuckled, a sound I'd never heard from him before. "You're a madman," he said, still staring. "A glorious, beautiful madman." Soon enough, others started peeking out. Curtains shifted, doors opened. People wandered over under the pretense of walking dogs, checking sprinklers, or pretending to care about the community flower beds. They'd linger, pretending not to look too hard, but you could feel it, that electric curiosity spreading. Even the kids, usually trapped inside with iPads in fear of grass stains, gathered around. One of them, a little girl from down the block, asked, "Did you paint your driveway?" "Nope, I fixed it." grown-up stuff. She tilted her head. It looks happy. That one hit different. Happy. My driveway looked happy? By midday, Luna was working on the sunburst section, golds, yellows, and flaming reds spiraling outward. It caught the sun perfectly, throwing reflections across my garage. The whole driveway looked alive, like it was breathing, glowing, rebelling. And for the first time, you could see it in people's faces. They weren't just curious, they were inspired. Gary whispered, "Brenda's gonna have a stroke. I'm counting on it." By evening, half the neighborhood had walked past. Some muttered disapproval, some whispered admiration, but every single one of them looked twice. Because it wasn't just a driveway anymore, it was a statement. And that night, while the sun set and the last bits of mirror glass sparkled under the orange sky, I realized something. This wasn't just a project, it was an uprising, one tile at a time. But every uprising has its reckoning. And mine? It came riding a beige golf cart at full speed, wearing a visor of vengeance and sneakers so white they defied physics.
It was 10:15 a.m. when the peace shattered, and not because of Luna's tools this time. No, this was something far more terrifying. The sound of Brenda's golf cart screeching around the corner like a NASCAR driver powered by pure moral outrage. I swear the sunlight dimmed as she approached. Birds scattered. Somewhere, a wind chime gave up and fell. Brenda's pastel visor glowed like an angry halo as her cart slammed to a stop in front of my driveway. She didn't so much step out as emerge, clutching her clipboard like it was the Constitution of Pleasant Valley. Her eyes locked onto the driveway. She froze, blinked twice. The silence stretched so long, I could hear Luna humming faintly to herself, blissfully unaware, while sticking more tiny shards of mirror into the grout. Then Brenda spoke. "Frank?" Her tone was low, controlled, the kind of calm you hear right before a volcano explodes. "Brenda," I said cheerfully, holding up my coffee mug like a peace offering. "Lovely day for home improvement, isn't it?" She took one trembling step forward, eyes flicking between the driveway, Luna, and me. "What?" she hissed. "Is this?" "This?" I said, gesturing to the explosion of color before her. "This is a repair. You told me to fix the cracks, and I fixed the cracks. Technically, perfectly, by the book." "This is not gray," she barked. "This is blue and orange," and she squinted. "Is that reflective glass?" Luna turned, pushing her turquoise glasses up her nose with a smile so innocent it was basically a war crime. "Hi, I'm Luna, licensed artist and contractor. This is a structural mosaic infill, two-part epoxy mortar with ceramic overlay, stronger than concrete, weatherproof, beautiful. You're welcome." Brenda's jaw dropped. This is vandalism. This is eco-friendly," I interrupted smoothly. "The mirrors reflect heat, lowering my surface temperature and reducing carbon footprint. Technically, I just made Pleasant Valley more sustainable." That did it. Her face went from pink to crimson. "You are mocking me, Frank Palmer. You are mocking this entire community." "Not mocking," I said, smiling. "Improving, repairing, innovating. You asked for safe and functional. I delivered fabulous and compliant." Her clipboard shook in her hand. "You will be fined," she roared. "You will be fined for unapproved aesthetic expression." Behind her, I could see Gary standing in his doorway, silently cheering with a mug of coffee raised in salute. Brenda stomped back to her cart, muttering something about anarchy and flamingos, and peeled off in a puff of beige fury. Luna turned to me, smirking. "That went well." "Oh, definitely. She only threatened me with minor legal action. That's practically a compliment." We clinked coffee mugs like victorious generals, but we both knew this wasn't over, because when Brenda retreats, she's not surrendering, she's regrouping. And sure enough, 1 hour later, she came back,
this time with flashing lights, backup, and a police report that was about to backfire spectacularly.
1 hour later, I'm sipping my second coffee of the morning, basking in the glow of victory. Or maybe it's the reflection from all the mirrored tiles. Either way, life feels good. Luna's still working, the driveway's looking like a stained glass river, and the neighborhood birds are starting to vibe with the chaos. Then the sound hits. Woo woo. Yep, Brenda called the police. Her beige golf cart reappears, this time parked dramatically next to a patrol car. Out step 2 officers. One looks like he's just days away from retirement. The other probably graduated from the academy last week. Both are trying very hard not to laugh. Brenda points at me like she's summoning divine justice. Officers, I'd like to report a blatant violation of HOA standards and possible property vandalism. The older cop sighs. Ma'am, is this your property? No, she says quickly, but I'm the HOA president, and this spectacle is destroying our community's visual integrity. He raises an eyebrow. Visual integrity? She thrusts her clipboard toward him like it's Exhibit A in a high-stakes courtroom drama. Our bylaws clearly state all repairs must be done in neutral tones, and this spectacle looks like Burning Man threw up on a sidewalk. I try not to laugh, but the rookie loses it. A quiet snort escapes him before he catches himself. The older cop turns to me. Sir, is this your property? Yes, officer. And you're, repairing it? Correct, I say proudly. Per HOA request, structurally reinforced, eco-friendly materials, all within property boundaries. Want to see the work permit? I hand him the paperwork, fully legit, courtesy of Luna's contractor license. He scans it, then glances down at the driveway again. This actually looks kinda nice, he admits. Luna grins. Thank you. Art and engineering in perfect balance. It's practically public service. Brenda's jaw tightens. Officers, you can't be serious. He's mocking the HOA, the spirit of the rules. The cop gives her a look, the kind that says, Ma'am, I have real frames to deal with. Ma'am, it's his property, it's structurally sound, no visible hazards, he's well within his rights. But the colors, the cop says flatly, are not illegal. That's when Luna loses it, not laughing, but clapping. A slow, sarcastic clap that echoes down the street like divine justice. Officer, you are my new favorite person. The rookie chuckles. Honestly, this neighborhood needs more driveways like this. They head back to their car, leaving Brenda frozen in disbelief. She stands there for a full 10 seconds, red-faced, mouth opening and closing like a malfunctioning robot. Then, without a word, she storms off, visor crooked, clipboard rattling. Gary calls from his porch, Looks like the law's on Frank's side, Brenda. That might have been the first recorded neighborhood mic drop in Pleasant Valley history. But, as any good rebel knows, when the front lines crumble, the bureaucracy rallies. And Brenda wasn't done. The next attack came not from a clipboard, but from an official letterhead.
2 days after the great police fiasco, it arrived. Not by email, not by a polite knock. No, this was hand-delivered by a trembling HOA intern wearing khakis and regret. He looked like someone delivering a ransom note. He placed it in my hand, whispered, "Good luck, man," and fled the scene like he just passed off a cursed artifact. I opened the envelope. Inside was a 3-page, single-spaced masterpiece of suburban rage. The header? Notice of hearing, architectural non-compliance and defiance of community standards. Ah yes, defiance. That's when you know Brenda personally drafted it. The letter accused me of deliberate aesthetic deviation, mockery of neighborhood values, and, my personal favorite, willful encouragement of creative anarchy, like I'd started a paint-based revolution. I laughed so hard I had to sit down. At the bottom, in bold, mandatory appearance, HOA board hearing, Friday at 7 p.m. The stage was set. The tribunal of doom awaited. Friday rolled around. I dressed like a man attending his own execution, but make it fabulous. Clean shirt, pressed slacks, a tie patterned like shattered tile. Luna's gift, naturally. She togged along for moral support, but also, let's be honest, entertainment. We walked into the community center. The fluorescent lights buzzed like judgmental bees. There they were, the full HOA council. Brenda at the center, flanked by Todd and two other board members who looked like they'd been born frowning. Brenda adjusted her visor and smiled, a smile with the warmth of a car warranty voicemail. Mr. Palmer, we are deeply concerned about your driveway situation. I corrected. Driveway art installation. Her nostrils flared. You have violated the HOA's Visual Harmony Clause, Section 9B. I raised an eyebrow. Is that the one that bans joy? Luna snorted. Todd looked personally offended by the sound. Brenda continued, voice trembling with indignation. We cannot allow such flamboyant displays. They distract from community uniformity. Exactly. That's the point. It's beautiful, functional, and legally compliant. And may I remind you, your own maintenance guidelines say homeowners must repair structural damage in a safe and lasting manner, which I did. One of the quieter board members flipped through some papers. Technically, he's muttered, he's right. Brenda shot him a glare sharp enough to slice marble. Luna leaned forward, all charm. We used reinforced mortar and sealed it to code. No safety issues, no hazards, no violations. Just sparkle. For a moment, silence. You could hear the sound of Brenda's blood pressure rising. Then the quieter board member spoke again. Well, if it's structurally sound and doesn't break property line regulations, I don't see legal grounds for action. Luna whispered to me, Translation, we win. Brenda slammed her folder shut. This isn't over, she snapped. I smiled. Oh, I know. We walked out of that meeting like rock stars exiting an encore. But even though I'd won the battle, I hadn't yet won the war. Because the next week, something unexpected happened. Something that turned my one-man rebellion into a full-blown neighborhood movement.
The Monday after the HOA hearing, something strange happened in Pleasant Valley Estates. For once, it wasn't the new regulation about mailbox height or the proper shade of acceptable beige. No, this was different. It started with Gary. I came out that morning to grab the paper. Yes, I still read those. I'm old-fashioned like that. And there he was, kneeling by his mailbox, a bucket of paint beside him. But it wasn't the HOA-approved pebble beige this time. Nope, he was painting it turquoise. I froze. Gary, I said, stunned. What are you doing? He grinned, eyes gleaming with rebellion. You inspired me, he said simply. If your driveway can shine, so can my mailbox. I laughed, partly because I couldn't believe it, and partly because it was beautiful. By noon, 3 more houses had joined in. One neighbor outlined their garden path with colored stones. Another replaced their boring white porch chairs with neon red ones. Someone even installed solar lights shaped like tiny flamingos. It was like Pleasant Valley had finally discovered color. And with every brushstroke, every tile, every bold little act of defiance, the power of the HOA's beige tyranny started to crack, just like my old driveway. Luna showed up mid-afternoon with smoothies and a grin that said, I told you so. She stood there, hands on her hips, surveying the neighborhood like a proud general. Frank, you didn't just fix a driveway, you started a movement. And she wasn't wrong. That evening, people started walking around, chatting. Neighbors who'd barely said hello before were now comparing color palettes and design ideas. Someone joked about starting a Pleasant Valley art walk. The kids drew chalk murals on the sidewalks. Even the air felt lighter, less controlled, more alive. And in the midst of all that newfound joy, I spotted Brenda. Standing at the end of her driveway, visor tilted, arms crossed, face frozen in a mixture of horror and disbelief. She looked around at the sudden explosion of creativity like she'd woken up in a dream she couldn't control. Gary waved at her cheerfully. Morning, Brenda. You like the turquoise? She blinked, speechless. Brenda was witnessing her empire crumble, one pastel heart and flamingo light at a time. By the end of the week, Pleasant Valley Estates didn't look like a uniform grid anymore.
It looked alive, imperfect, loud, human. And for the first time since moving there, I realized something profound. The HOA could enforce rules, but it couldn't enforce joy. The crack in my driveway had started it, but now it wasn't just repaired, it was a symbol. A bright, unapologetic reminder that beauty doesn't have to be approved to be real. And while you'd think that's where the story ends, driveway fixed, HOA defeated, peace restored, oh no. Because when a movement catches fire, it doesn't fade quietly. It goes viral.
By the next week, I thought things might finally calm down. The driveway sparkled like a rebellion wrapped in sunlight, the neighbors were still smiling, and even Brenda had stopped sending me passive-aggressive emails with subject lines like, "Friendly reminder, beige is eternal." But peace was short-lived, because the internet showed up. It started innocently. A college kid visiting his aunt drove past, stopped, took one photo of the mosaic driveway, and posted it online with the caption, "HOA tried to make this guy repaint his driveway gray. He turned it into a literal art exhibit instead." Within 24 hours, that post had 50,000 likes. By the end of the week, 500,000. Suddenly, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Local news stations wanted interviews, DIY blogs called it a suburban act of defiance. One headline read, "Man turns HOA violation into viral masterpiece. Neighborhood never the same." The footage of Brenda's meltdown at the HOA hearing somehow leaked too, probably thanks to Gary, who, I discovered, had filmed the whole thing for insurance purposes. It was cinematic perfection. Her yelling about visual integrity while standing in front of the glittering driveway of destiny. That clip alone hit 3 million views. Luna started getting calls from homeowners across the country. "I've got cracks," they'd say. "Can you make them beautiful too?" She launched a website called Rebel Repairs and booked solid for 6 months. She even printed shirts that said, "Crack happens, fix it with art." Meanwhile, Pleasant Valley Estates became a local legend. Reporters showed up, artists wanted to visit, even the city council invited Luna and me to speak about creative urban beautification. Brenda was not amused. She spent weeks lobbying for new rules about unauthorized artistic enhancements. But by then, the HOA's moral high ground had crumbled like old cement. One afternoon, I stepped outside and saw something that nearly made me tear up. Brenda herself, standing at the edge of her driveway, looking down at a small hairline crack near her mailbox. And beside her, a bag of mosaic tiles. I didn't say a word. I just smiled. The next morning, there it was. A tiny, perfectly aligned strip of pastel beige tiles filling her crack. Beige, of course, but tiles nonetheless. She had joined the rebellion, in her own, rule-abiding way. Now, every time I pull into my driveway, I see the reflections dance across the ground. It's no longer just concrete, it's a reminder that creativity doesn't need permission, that conformity cracks under pressure, and that even in the most rigid places, a little color can start a revolution. So yeah, maybe the HOA won't send me a Christmas card this year, but I don't need one. My driveway says it all. You can't pave over personality. And that, my friends, is how a crack in the concrete turned into the most glorious middle finger ever gifted to suburban monotony. If you love this story, hit that like button like you're smashing an HOA fine notice, subscribe for more tales of rebellion and ridiculousness, and drop a comment. What would you mosaic if your HOA told you not to? Until next time, stay colorful, stay clever, and remember, sometimes fixing what's broken means breaking the rules first.